So, Meghan Markle is plotting to renew her vows to Prince Harry. This is something which is going to be viewed as both a put down on the British royal family, because it's like, oh, we didn't give you enough. We didn't give you enough. We didn't give you the wedding that you wanted. We want something more personal. But this is also about money, serious money. And Lauren the Insider is blowing the whistle on this. But before we get to what she has had to say, let me just remind you how Meghan dropped this hint during her social media video with the two lovely Down syndrome lads in Australia. Royal YouTube sensation P. Dina with me now. I mean, absolutely. To me, this is her most desperate move yet. It's something that real D-listers do when either they need a magazine deal or they need attention desperately. But of course, for her, this also has that added role of being a wonderful little dig in her view to the British royal family, because you know, Pete Dina, she just hated her wedding, didn't she? It was just so goddamn awful.
Yeah. Meghan is trying to get herself back into the headlines in a positive way because everyone loves a wedding, and she wants to show that she's still in love, or her husband is still in love with her. Meghan does things like this because she has this nefarious behavior about her. And so it's not really about the love and the recommitment to a man that she loves. It's about getting into the headlines. It's about, taking a dig at the royal family, trying to show that her husband loves her. Meghan is not fooling anybody. The way she plots and plans things, we know that it's going to be something where she's going to invite certain people that she can say she's still associated with, to really stay above the water with all the failures that she has had. So I would be, I don't know, surprised if Harry commits to doing it, because he would know what this would mean. Like, this is more attention. And then what about the children? You're going to have to show the children. They're going to have to be the flower girl and the ring bearer, right? Or whatever. Like, this is opening up the whole family with, no more privacy, because you're inviting cameras and you're inviting the headlines into your life yet again. So I think it would just be a disaster. Not only that, the majority of, and I talked about this on my channel, the majority of wedding vow renewals of celebrities have ended in divorce. So this shows that this marriage is falling completely apart. This is a last-ditch effort to get more eyeballs on her for her career, and to possibly, I guess, save this marriage, because Harry, I think, is completely done with her. And she has a lot of reasons behind wanting to do something like this. It's not authentic, we know, but it's going to open up problems for Harry that I just can't imagine that he would agree to, Dan. I don't see Harry participating in something like this, and she would need him, obviously, right? So, it's not a good idea, I don't think.
A romantic vow renewal ceremony, a stunning Malibu backdrop, and a fresh wave of controversy surrounding Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Because what should have been seen as a celebration of marriage is instead triggering accusations that the Sussexes are turning private moments into public business opportunities. Critics are calling it a money-making scheme. Supporters say it's simply another unfair attack on the couple. But why has the mere possibility of a vow renewal generated such fierce backlash? And what does it reveal about the public perception of Harry and Meghan today? Stay tuned, because this story goes far beyond wedding vows. Ever since stepping away from royal duties, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have faced a challenge unlike any other royal couple. They left the institution, but they didn't leave the spotlight. Instead, they entered a world where their personal lives became part of their public brand. Books, documentaries, interviews, podcasts, streaming deals. Every major life event now exists at the intersection of personal experience and public attention. And that reality continues fueling intense debate. The latest controversy revolves around reports and speculation suggesting Harry and Meghan could be considering a renewal of their wedding vows. On the surface, the idea seems harmless. Many couples renew vows. Many public figures celebrate relationship milestones. And Malibu would certainly provide a picture-perfect setting. But critics immediately viewed the story through a different lens. They argued that a vow renewal involving Harry and Meghan would almost certainly become a media event, whether through photographs, exclusive coverage, documentaries, interviews, or future projects. And that's where the controversy began. Because for critics, the issue isn't the vow renewal itself. It's the possibility that deeply personal moments are increasingly becoming commercial opportunities. This criticism taps into a much broader debate surrounding the Sussexes.
No, it's really not. But Lauren says there's something else going on here too, P. Diner, and it is all about money. And that is also behind the monetizing her outfits debacle in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's so interesting, P. Diner, is that, again, this is another D-list move at a time when sources close to Meghan are trying to tell us, oh no, she's got A-list support. All of these big Hollywood names are loving her. Well, okay, why is everything so D-list? Like affiliate links, like vow renewals. It really does show you that she's now operating in a totally different sphere compared to the British royal family. But I guess it's weirdly, P. Diner, a sphere that she's more comfortable dealing with, because this is very much like what a D-list sort of Suits cable drama actress who no one really knows, who's never been nominated for any big awards. These are the sorts of ploys that they use. So maybe she's actually just returning to type.
Well, the whole fact that she left the royal family says that she was going back to D-list. Who leaves the royal family? Meghan is doing what she has to do because that's the only option available to her in Hollywood. She doesn't have A-lister support. She doesn't have people who are at high level wanting to partner with her or to, show their support for anything that Meghan does. So of course she's going to do these things because she has no choice. This woman is at a level now where she's trying to stay alive in terms of her career, her failing career. And there are reports coming out today that the woman is going to go now do Suits. Okay, she's going to do whatever she has to do. She's desperate. Okay, she's not getting the support of the people that she needs to appear royal-like. Her royalty option failed long ago. And now she has to do what she has to do to make money because in her mind, in her head, who she really truly is a D-list. Okay, she's never been at an A-list. She thought leaving the royal family was going to propel her to A-list. No, all it did was confirm that you are a D-list. You will continue to be a D-list, and you'll never get to a higher level because your mindset is at the D-list level. Because going back on Suits is going back to what you were doing before you met Harry. You know the game is up. She knows it. Okay, just be in your D-list and be happy because that's where you're going to be and that's where you're going to stay.
100%, 100%. And it's like, it's sort of sometimes, Pete Diner, it's like people can't really change. And Meghan Markle was only ever a D-list grifter. And at the end of the day, she was handed every opportunity and she still was unable to make it work. Now, Pete Diner, I want to talk to you about what has been going on in regards to security this week. Obviously, we had the situation with Andrew. But what is more interesting, I think, is that this was immediately used by Prince Harry as an opportunity to campaign for more security, more state-funded security for him. Now, I usually agree with Tom Sykes of the Royalist, Pete Diner, but I don't agree with this. But I think it's fair that we lay out both sides and we can talk it through. So Tom Sykes is arguing that the government, and he's talking about the UK government, of course, refusal to protect Harry is now indefensible. And he says the establishment needs to stop playing politics with his life. Now, look, I know Tom Sykes, and I know a lot of people say Tom Sykes is in bed with Harry and Meghan. He's not. He is an independent journalist. He deals with both sides, okay? So I believe this is a genuinely held view. And even though it's one I disagree with, I don't believe that he is in some way operating as a propagandist for their behalf. But I want to just get into the argument, P. Diner, and then we can talk it out, okay? So He writes that what they're very clear about, however, is this: unless the security situation changes, and this is sources close to Harry and Meghan, specifically when it comes to preventing what they describe as known and documented threats against his wife and his children, there is no chance that Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet will come to Britain unless it is in the context of a private invite from the King to Balmoral or Sandringham. Now, you could argue that this suits the royal family perfectly well. Why would they want Meghan and the children swanning around the United Kingdom, selling product, diverting attention, undermining the work of the royal family? So the first point I'll just make there, okay? It's like she got on a plane and went to Chicago on her own. So I am a little bit sick of this suggestion that for some reason the threat level in the UK is particularly high. Because remember, every visit that they make is still evaluated today. And if there is a genuine threat, they get genuine protection. But then we come to Tom Sykes' personal argument. This is not what's been briefed by Team Harry and Meghan. This is his personal argument. And he says, if something were to happen, it would be catastrophic, not just for Harry, but for the United Kingdom, the monarchy, and the country's reputation in the world. I understand why the establishment is so concerned about Harry getting his automatic security restored. If he gets it back in full, it effectively means he can pitch up at Heathrow whenever he likes, dial a number, and trigger a statutory obligation for police escorts, armed bodyguards for him, for Meghan, for the children, the full works. I understand why the palace does not want that. I understand the nightmare scenario. Harry turns up on the day of Trooping the Colour and stages a competing royal event down the road. I get it. I am not naive about the political dimension. But the time has come to untangle status from safety. Security as a marker of royal rank needs to be separated from security as a protection from danger. A friend of Harry told me that if something bad happens, it will end in tears. Harry's people say there have been many incidents, many near misses. They say it only takes one slip. We cannot have this happening. A country that cannot protect its own royal family, whatever their personal circumstances or public standing, has lost the plot. The Invictus event in Birmingham is weeks away. A credible plan to keep Harry safe needs to be made and enacted immediately. But the thing is, P. Dinah, and I want you to, I don't know what you think about this. You go for it. But in my view, the key problem is a country that cannot protect its own royal family. Harry is not a member of the royal family to all intents and purposes. And it was made abundantly clear to him, P. Dinah, that if he went through with the Sandringham agreement, which he did, he would lose that status. He would effectively become a private citizen. And I just stress again, no one talks about this in regards to any other high-profile American figures who attend the United Kingdom for a visit. No one talks about it when it comes to Jeff Bezos or Tim Cook or Elon Musk, who says that he doesn't feel safe here. Now, okay, they are foreigners, but also no one says it if Sir Richard Branson does something really controversial and comes to the United Kingdom. Security is judged on a case-by-case basis. And I note when there was a serious terror threat to Taylor Swift and the authorities didn't want her concert cancelled in London, she received this big security. So it's not as I guess what I'm saying, P. Dinah, it's not as if there are actual threats towards Harry and Meghan that they will not be protected. They will. But it's on a case-by-case basis rather than you get whatever you want, wherever you want. Because, the nightmare scenario for me, P. Dinah, is what would end up happening is that the British public would end up paying for Harry to be protected anywhere in the world. So with this type of arrangement, he goes to Australia on one of his awful tours. We pay. And it's like he was warned of all of this. Of this. So anyway, over to you.
Yeah, these are clearly the consequences of, his actions. He was told, and that's just what it is. But just to his, Tom Sykes is what he said, if something happened to Harry, I think if something ever were to happen to Harry, it's not like he's not going to have protection. He's going to have some protection, right? I think he just wants the bells and whistles to have all this grandeur around his going wherever. And I think he's paranoid because of what he wrote in Spare. So Harry is just in the position now. You have made your bed. This is what you knew would happen. Okay, be a man, own it, and just get on with your life. put in the 30-day notice when you want to come visit to get the security that you want, and just live with it. This is a child. This is a man who doesn't want to adhere to what he knew what was going to happen. And I'm sorry, if something were to happen to Harry, he will have some protection at the end of the day. So I don't think that should even be an issue. But what the real issue is this man, this man child wanting to get more than he is able to get, considering he's no longer a part of the establishment. Live with that and just get on with it. He is such a spoiled child, this Harry. He's not used to having consequences to his behavior, his action. We have to remember, Harry is the one that put himself in this position. It's not the royal family's fault. Okay? So I'm sorry. I don't feel any sympathy for this man and any security that he wants to get. Just live with what you got, okay? And be happy that you got that instead of trying to get more. It's just feeding into the behavior, these spoiled children. I know Harry and Meghan is behind a lot of it, wanting him to have all this extra security because they want to feel royal like. They want to have more or the same as, the real royals. But you made a choice, so live with it. It's just sick of these kids. They're kids, spoiled children.
Totally agree. P. Dinah, it would be remiss of me, given that we share a mutual love of Princess Diana, not to ask your view about this story, which is that some of the secret tapes that we've actually never heard before from the Andrew Morton interviews, well, they weren't Andrew Morton interviews, were they? She recorded them on tape and they were provided to Andrew Morton to provide the source material for Diana, her true story. And then, of course, after the death of Diana, Andrew Morton decided that he would reveal that it was actually through material provided by Diana. The quotes were from her, and he re-released the book as Diana, her true story, in her own words. Now, previously, P. Dinah, we have heard some of those tapes. But what's interesting is for the 30th anniversary of her death, a new series is being made. This is called Diana, the Unheard Truth, and it is going to be based on all 5 hours of the secret recordings. Now, how do you feel about this? Because I sort of feel we do need to hear these, Like, it is history. It is history. And I know that a lot of people disagree with me on this, P. Dinah, but I even feel, look, I am so sympathetic when it comes to Prince William and the BBC, right? I call it the British Bashing Corporation. What they did to him over the dodgy Panorama interview was despicable, right? But I really don't like the fact that now you can't listen to it, you can't play it, you can't hear it because, okay, it's very important that we know the context of how the interview happened, but it's part of history. That was her voice. We need to hear her voice. And I sort of feel the same thing about the tapes, but I do understand this is also like a gross sort of invasion at the time of this anniversary, and it's really going to upset William. So look, I'm torn on it. Where are you?
Well, of course, I want to hear the tapes. Of
That's
course.
the
I mean,
thing.
I think, hey, it's been a long time. It was a long time ago. We already know she did the tapes. We know she was a part of the book. Okay, let's hear it now. Why not? I think this is a situation where Diana has been gone for so long now. It'd be nice to have, as you say, part of this history revisited and to listen to her, her voice and how it all came together. Basically, it's just a behind the scenes of how the book was put together. It's not like we don't know that these tapes were used for this book. So I don't think there should be a reason why not to listen to the tapes. Absolutely, Dan. I want to hear them. And I think I wouldn't have one thought not listening to it for whatever reason that, I mean, maybe William doesn't want it, but hey, look.
Yeah, I have sympathy for William. Of course I do. But the thing is, P. Dinah, it's like, well, is Harry going to be doing his own thing? Probably. I'd rather hear from Diana than Harry.
Yeah, absolutely. Any day, because Harry is doing things for reasons that is to make money and is always to put himself in a good light. You won't hear anything from Harry that is authentic. Let's listen to Diana's voice, her authentic voice, her true self and feelings, and not something from Harry that is made up to help support his narrative around his wife being like his mother. Like that's one thing he used to say, but I don't know if he still feels that way. But it's not going to be authentic and truthful. It's going to be a little skewed, I think. So absolutely.
Since leaving royal life, Harry and Meghan have built careers that rely heavily on storytelling. Their story, their experiences, their struggles, their relationship. And while supporters view that as completely legitimate, critics argue it creates a difficult contradiction. The couple frequently speaks about privacy. Yet some of their most successful projects have involved sharing intimate details of their lives. As a result, every new personal milestone becomes subject to suspicion. And that's exactly what appears to be happening here. But what truly makes this controversy fascinating is that it isn't really about wedding vows at all. It's about trust. Over the past several years, public opinion surrounding Harry and Meghan has become deeply polarized. Supporters see them as independent public figures building successful lives outside the monarchy. Critics see them as celebrities whose entire business model depends on royal connections and personal disclosures. Because of that divide, audiences often interpret the same event in completely different ways. One side sees romance. The other sees branding. One side sees family celebration. The other sees monetization. And once that divide exists, almost any future project becomes controversial before it even happens. What's particularly interesting is how differently the public treats Harry and Meghan compared to other celebrity couples. Most celebrities can celebrate anniversaries or relationship milestones without triggering global debate. The Sussexes cannot. Every appearance becomes symbolic. Every project becomes political. Every personal decision becomes a public discussion. That's partly because they remain connected to the royal family story, and partly because audiences continue debating the choices they made after leaving royal duties. As a result, even a vow renewal ceremony becomes much larger than itself. Meanwhile, the wider royal family continues operating under a completely different model. Senior royals traditionally separate private family milestones from commercial activity. That distinction remains central to how the monarchy presents itself. Which means comparisons between Harry and Meghan's approach and the palace's approach are almost inevitable. For critics, those differences highlight why tensions developed in the first place. For supporters, they simply reflect the reality of two people building independent lives outside royal constraints. Either way, the debate shows no signs of disappearing. Perhaps the most revealing aspect of this controversy is how quickly people assumed there must be a business motive behind a potentially personal decision. Whether those assumptions are fair or not, they reveal something important about Harry and Meghan's current public image. For many audiences, authenticity and branding have become almost impossible to separate. And once that happens, every future headline becomes a test of credibility. So if a Malibu vow renewal eventually happens, will audiences see a genuine celebration of love? Or will they see another chapter in the Sussex media empire? That may depend less on the event itself, and more on how people already feel about Harry and Meghan. At its core, this story isn't really about wedding vows. It's about reputation, public trust, and the challenge of balancing private happiness with public visibility. Because for Harry and Meghan, even the most personal moments now exist under a global microscope. And that means every decision carries consequences far beyond the event itself. If you enjoy royal news, celebrity controversy, and in-depth analysis of the biggest stories involving Harry, Meghan, William, Catherine, and the royal family, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the next royal headline could be even more surprising than this one.